Welcome to Rob Schmitt Tonight. The way Democrats and the media are talking about this signal story all day, you'd think that they had found a dead body in the White House. On Monday, Jeffrey Goldberg from The Atlantic revealed he was added to a group chat on an encrypted messaging service that is called Signal. Somehow, Goldberg, an iconic Trump hater, was added to a chat with some of the biggest heavyweights in the Trump administration: Vance, Rubio, Hegseth, Walz, Tulsi, Bessent, Ratcliffe. The cabinet, VP, and national security team discussing the imminent bombing of the Houthi rebels in Yemen from 10 days ago. An Iranian-backed terror group that Joe Biden allowed to wreak havoc on American and foreign ships in the Red Sea for years. Jeffrey Goldberg claims texts in the chat revealed precise details on weapons packages, targets, and timing, although he didn't reveal any of that. The left has erupted with this story, as you knew they would if you've been following how this cycle's been going for them. For the past 2 months, Democrats have been getting destroyed as Elon Musk and Doge and this new White House expose the absolute depths of their fraud and corruption and how insidious their agenda really is and how un-American it really is. They are getting crucified right now. Goldberg's story on Monday was the narrative shift that Democrats and their loyal media very much needed.
What he did is despicable.
It is so stunning and so incompetent and so dangerous.
This moron publicly texts out our war plans, putting our soldiers at risk.
This is so utterly ridiculous. It's not only a national embarrassment, this is a national emergency.
If I made a mistake like this as a lieutenant, I would be probably not just fired, but probably indicted and tried and maybe in prison.
This is the most amazing thing I have ever heard in a long, long time in Washington.
I think Swalwell called somebody a moron, which is just classic. They're going to scream about this for weeks. You know they will. We've been through this enough times now to understand how the media apparatus in this country works. They have one job, and that is to decimate Republicans, get Democrats back in power. That's all they care about. Overnight, there was wide speculation that Trump's national security advisor, Michael Walz, would have to resign, as Goldberg claimed in his article that Walz invited him into the chat, which would have been just a horrific mistake, if not something more. Well, today, Michael Walz was given the chance to respond.
There's a lot of journalists in this city who have made big names for themselves, making up lies about this president, whether it's the Russia hoax or making up lies about Gold Star families. And this one in particular, I've never met, don't know, never communicated with, and we are looking into and reviewing how the heck he got into this room. As Director Ratcliffe testified today, his first day on the job, he was introduced to this app on his government systems at the CIA and at the State Department.
So there you go. He actually had a lot of good comments there. And now we have to wait and see exactly how one of the most gruesome establishment hacks in Washington got himself onto a signal thread with Trump's cabinet. And that is the million-dollar question tonight. Today, the president, though, made it very clear that Michael Walz is going nowhere.
They've made a big deal out of this because we've had 2 perfect months. They had to find something, and this certainly will look at this. But the main thing was nothing happened. The attack was totally successful. I always say you have to learn from every experience. I think it was very unfair the way they attacked Michael. He's a good person. The person that was on just happens to be a sleazebag, so maybe that's just coincidence. I don't know.
So even many Republicans thought that somebody would have to go down for this, right? And tonight it looks like nobody is going down for this. And you wonder why so many thought that heads would have to roll for something like this. Why would the Trump White House capitulate in any manner to the mob that endlessly seeks its own destruction? Because those are the people that are making the claims that this is such a big deal, right? With the White House press corps screaming questions at him today in that room you just saw, the president very casually told reporters that there was no classified information in that Signal chat, and Michael Walz is a good man who has learned a lesson. What happened today should give a sense of security to those inside of Trump's cabinet, who are far and away the best team he has ever had. It's been amazing to watch them all work together. Working for Donald Trump is terrifying as you would expect it to be. He became a household name in this country for firing people. Trump's cabinet and national security team will weather this minor storm together and come out knowing that the president reciprocates the loyalty that they have shown to him. A response that is much smarter than caving to the demands of people like David French.
I have never even heard of anything quite like this. When I was a JAG officer, I investigated leaks or spillages of classified information. I saw careers of officers destroyed instantly for behavior that was a fraction as irresponsible as this. It really is a key moment, I think. It is a key moment that says to the Trump administration, or the Trump administration looks to America and tells us, do they have any standards at all other than loyalty to Donald Trump?
Talk about standards after the last 4 years, Dave. Trying to bully the administration into breaking apart, right? That's all they care about. We just had 4 years of the most incompetent foreign policy in American history. The Biden White House humiliated our country. They did it in Afghanistan. They dumped billions in Iran's bank accounts, which was used by Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis to terrorize the world. They allowed Russia to march right into Ukraine, start a war that the administration clearly wanted and clearly did not want to end either. Very angry that that war is ending, by the way. Where were the demands for resignations from all of these clowns when we had full throttle disasters happening all over the world? Such a bad administration that the Democrat Party is now dying on the vine with like a 20-something approval rating. Did anybody ask for resignations? Was anybody angry? Did anybody ever get fired at all under Joe Biden, except that weird guy that was stealing the luggage and wore dresses? Was that the only person that got fired in all those years? Because it was just so ridiculous. So many failures. Everybody kept their jobs. These same people were on TV marginalizing the chaos of the last 4 years. Some of them were applauding the chaos. But now they find a chat group discussing an attack on the Houthi rebels in Yemen, an attack which, by the way, was wildly successful. And they go nuclear on that. I mean, this story is everywhere. Hillary Clinton with a hilarious tweet today. You have to be kidding me. With her past. Well, Hillary, there's no evidence any classified information was exposed, so no, I guess we're not kidding you. At today's Senate Intel hearing, CIA Director John Ratcliffe revealed what everybody in D.C. already knows, that they're all using Signal. Everybody in Washington uses Signal. You have to use that. It's everywhere in politics, everywhere. It's an app designed for people who want intense security surrounding their messaging. That's what it is. Works very well. If you don't accidentally invite, Jeffrey Goldberg into it. Ratcliffe says that Signal, which is what they're really all mad about. They're not mad about accidentally inviting Goldberg in, right? They're saying that it's so insecure and, oh my God, you could have invited the Houthis in or something. It's pretty ridiculous, the narrative they're trying to spin on this. But Ratcliffe says it was already installed on his workstation. Signal was already installed on his workstation when he arrived to run the CIA.
So that we're clear, one of the first things that happened when I was confirmed as CIA director was Signal was loaded onto my computer at the CIA, as it is for most CIA officers. One of the things that I was briefed on very early, Senator, was by the CIA records management folks about the use of Signal as a permissible work use. It is. That is a practice that preceded the current administration.
The CIA tells its staffers, hey, be careful with what you text around. Use this app. Be careful. Now, obviously, it's not a SCIF. It's not a secure location. But there's also, at the same time, no evidence that any secure information, any classified information was released in this chat. So this is really, honestly, very likely to be a complete non-story that they're spinning into Watergate. A lot of the outrage, most of the outrage over this is totally manufactured. Many of the people screaming have shared deeply sensitive things on Signal, and they know they have. DC's full of that. The author of this Atlantic piece knows this is all manufactured as well. It's been entertaining to watch Jeffrey Goldberg running around the last 24 hours, posing as this mild-mannered, non-biased journalist. He's on his best behavior right now because this story demands that he just appear to be a very credible guy that just fell into something. Some of the greatest hits he's had as a journalist. It's official. Hillary Clinton is running against Vladimir Putin. That was a headline from him. He's a journalist. Trump, Americans who died in war are losers and suckers, was another one. I mean, just such a ridiculous claim. I mean, to imagine Trump, yeah, everybody that's ever died in American wars are suckers and losers. Have you ever seen him with veterans? He loves veterans, and they love him. The Atlantic is not journalism. It's just a very obvious Democrat Party mouthpiece. They don't even pretend. Here is their owner talking publicly about Donald Trump.
Our work in capital investing and policy and philanthropy, and we could do this work forever and ever, and we could have the narrative overtaken by someone who has a lot of power, who's completely contrary to us. It was obvious that if we could be part of the creation of cultural narrative, that would enhance and amplify all the work that we're doing.
She's sitting there with Kamala, by the way, and she did what Kamala always does. She said the phrase "the work" 3 times in that 30-second soundbite. They must have the same coach. How to talk like a robot. That's the American media, though. That's what it's devolved into. It's actually why we here have grown into a business that's long been oversaturated here at Newsmax. That's how we had a lane. They've become so partisan and insufferable, it's opened up a lane for us. And they're not going to stop with this story. A good Trump scandal never dies, in their opinion. Jeffrey Goldberg is going to leak out little tiny morsels for days and weeks to keep this thing breathing new life into this story, because the true goal is to cripple this White House. Nothing more. You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt Tonight on Newsmax.